All right, the year's 2021, and last year was a little bit of a write-off in so many ways, but we're back here again, hoping it's going to be a much better year. Colin Nathan, how are you doing in 2021?
Firstly, Viva. Big Viva for you. It's good to be back. Last year was a very challenging year, and you're a good oak. But looking forward to a great 2021. Still a bit kind of edgy at the moment with the whole COVID thing, second wave. People are dying, it's very serious. But I can't imagine it being anywhere close to what it was last year in terms of just not having enough boxing, you know?
Well, okay, let's go straight into the new. I mean, there's a lot to talk about. A lot of things that happen behind the scene. I know you've been working tirelessly while everything was sort of sleeping. You were sort of doing a lot of work. Let's start off with your signings that you've been doing lately. Cape Town coming to Johannesburg. Talk to us a little bit more about the movements, the managerial contracts that just were not legitimate and everything like that.
Yes, I mean, it's obviously... It started in 2019 with Jason Fall coming here, and then, during the lockdown, Ishmael Kadri and I started chatting, and then I flew down to Cape Town to sign him. And then Abdul Aziz Kunert, which created a bit of a shitstorm in Cape Town. But, the thing is that the kid reached out to me. He needed some guidance, and he asked me my opinion on a certain issue, and I gave it to him, and he asked me if I would consider taking him over. And I asked him if he had a contract, and he said to me if he had a contract, and he said he did. So I took a look at the contract, and I knew it was just bullshit. So I was happy to take him over. The thing is that people can say they've got an agreement. The boxing law, it's got to be in alignment with Boxing South Africa, and I don't even want to get into the merits of the contract, but I've been in the sport long enough to know that you have to go through Boxing South Africa. It's governed by the Act, and it goes through parliaments and governments. And if that's not going to be legit, then obviously I'm going to look at the fighter. If it was a valid contract, obviously I wouldn't even be entertaining the kid.
Well, that's the thing, right? So the camp that he was previously with had accused you now of poaching the boxer. So what are your thoughts on the whole poaching comments?
Firstly, people would be in... The thing is this, right? Boxing is a business, and it's about supply and demand. Now, it's also about service. Now, if I can provide a better service than someone else can, and that fighter sees that and understands that, I can't tell the fighter not to come join me. It's the fighter's prerogative. It's up to him or her. And that's what's happened. I supply a better service than where he was previously, and he made the decision that he wanted to come. It was his choice. So with regards to people accusing me, I really honestly don't give a shit. I know that I don't poach fighters. I don't need to poach fighters. I don't need promoters sending fighters my way. I'm very blessed that I've worked myself in a position where I'm legit. And it's not being arrogant, it's just being honest and the truth. So it's like if you go to the bank and you get bad service, you're going to change banks. Like I'm saying, boxing's a business. And people can call me ruthless, so be it. I love my fighters, I respect my fighters, I fight every inch for my fighters, as you know. And again, I want to go back to a few years ago when you were running the Hotbox gym page. How often were we getting requests on people coming wanting to join the gym? I'm not exaggerating, we probably get 3 requests a week, guys wanting to join Hotbox. And often I'm turning the guys down because we just don't have the capability and the manpower to accommodate all these fighters. And also, the thing is that I look for certain qualities in fighters. Talent's one thing, commitment's another thing. Charisma's obviously also a big factor to consider as well when you look after and take over a fighter. So, I mean, people can talk, and I honest to God, I hope they keep on talking because I know where I come from, I know what I do. I don't have to poach fighters.
Well, that's the thing, right? So the boxer comes and employs you. Obviously, you can turn away a whole bunch of people as well. But what do you see in Abdul Aziz that made you think, okay, well, you're a worthwhile project for me to take on?
Well, I just looked at the story. I've seen the documentary on Abdullah, and I was blown away. And actually, I think we were friends on Facebook for some time, but actually it started with your interview, your Instagram live interview where I actually tuned in. And it was the first time I'd seen and heard Abdul, interact with you. And obviously I'd seen his fight with McKay, but I heard the story and I'd seen the documentary. But his interview with you really touched me. And I was like, here's a kid who's not shying away from his past. He's facing it head on. He accepts what he's done. And I was like, wow, this kid's got a lot of character. And I liked that straight away. And let's be real, you know, to get to 10-0, you got to have some sort of ability. And then when we started talking, and I think we started talking pretty much after that interview, he asked me for opinion on one or two things, and literally here we are now. So definitely the fact that he's got a lot of tenacity. I mean, coming back from what he's coming back from, takes a lot of balls, takes a lot of heart, and he literally and legitimately has turned his life around. I met his wife, I met his kid. You know, it's a hard story, but it's also a heartwarming story to know that someone can turn their life around and he's trying to make the best of his career. Fighters need to remember this. They only have one bite of the apple. And it's important that fighters need to make the best decisions for their careers, no one else. And that was one of the reasons why I was so intrigued by him.
Are you allowed to divulge any plans that you have for him? And obviously that.
Yes,
you know.
That's a good question. I mean, I've been asked that question a lot since he's come to us. The SA title, Mangata. It's a great fight for Cape Town. I know there's a promoter in Cape Town who's already been reaching out to me. Non-committal at the moment. I just want to explore the options. And right now I also have to speak to Abdul and see where he wants to go, which promoter he wants to fight for, where he wants to fight. I can't make the decision. I'm not the one getting in the ring taking the shots, he is, so obviously I need to get his consent first. But obviously the main focus now is to start having the featherweight title.
Well, let's stay on board with contracts. Contracts were apparently officially assigned for Liebenberg versus Rowan Campbell. Okay, so this fight's going ahead now in March.
Yeah, it's going ahead in March. I'm really so sick of talking about it. The guys need to get in the ring and fight now. That's all I'm prepared to talk about right now, because I'm just so tired of the bullshit. Let them get in the ring and fight.
I mean, obviously it'll be a while since you've taken a boxer to Emperor's Palace. I mean, what's your opinion on that?
Well, the last time I was there, we won, so we're gonna win again. It means nothing to me. It's just a venue, it's a fight. I think the whole country wants to fight, and again, I'm just like so sick of people talking to me about this fight, asking me, is it gonna happen? We've signed the contract. Hopefully the guys get in the ring and fight now.
I know you can't speak on Reino's behalf, but is this his last fight or potentially his second last fight? Where's he?
Last fight in South Africa. Let's see. You know, we'll have to sit down after he beats Rowan.
Okay. And then let's move on to a whole new situation. Azinga Fuzile was offered an IBO title,
yes,
but instead Kanyile Bulana has stepped into his place. What is the situation with both of those boxers?
So obviously Azinga now is going to be fighting for the IBF eliminator. So there was obviously preference. They took preference. Kanyile got the opportunity because the guy I was dealing with for the contest actually asked for him. So he's going to be doing his camp here. It's a great opportunity for the 17th of April in Italy. Looking forward to that. It's a world championship and it's a great opportunity, so we're looking forward to getting him in shape and taking the opportunity with both hands.
And that fight against Lungasti Miller, is that off the table now? Is he still looking to entertain that battle before going into an elimination?
I think it certainly adds a lot more spice now, given what's happened down in Cape Town with Abdul. But emotions aside, it's nothing personal. I don't know. Right now, the preference is the IBF eliminator. But again, boxing's full of twists and turns, so we're just going to have to see what happens.
So a little bit of a cryptical post that you made on Facebook not too long ago about some promotional stuff. Talk to us about that.
I don't really want to talk too much about that. There have been rumors flying around about a promotional company that we're starting. I'm not prepared to talk about that right now. But there's stuff going on.
Nothing like causing a little bit of a stir.
I didn't mean to cause a stir. Just people want to cause a stir, let them cause a stir. But there's something brewing, but I'm not prepared to discuss it right now.
All right, and let's talk about the two sort of older statesmen, Heki Butler and Maruti Mtsalane. Both of them looking to make comebacks this year. Obviously, Maruti got denied his opportunity in Durban. We all know the story about that. It's a bit of slack promoting, but anyway.
So Heki, I need to get back in. COVID really screwed up our plans last year, but I still think he has one legitimate title run left in him, and that's obviously what we're going to be working on. Getting him back in the ring, shaking off the ring rust, and getting him back into contention. That's one of my priorities for 2021. And then Maruti, we are busy discussing a potential opponent outside of the country, looking potentially at April. I don't want to talk too much on that, but something is brewing. I'm speaking to the head office in Dubai about that. So I'm looking forward to Maruti getting back, and then obviously Heki making his, well, don't call it a comeback because he's still been here.
Yeah.
He's still, yeah. So those are my priorities as well for this year.
And what about that former boxer of yours, that kid that left the shores to go to the USA? Unfortunately, DJ didn't get the result which we all wanted. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, it hurt me to see him get pounded in the end, but he showed a lot of heart and resilience. I love DJ, as you know. I put out a post a few weeks ago that he'll always be family of mine. Very gallant performance. I do think, though, he needs to go back down to 105. I don't think he's big enough and strong enough for 108. I still think he has mad skills, and I think if he commits himself to get back down to 105, I think he'll be world champion again. But it's heartbreaking to see your fighter that you love, get hurt, and unfortunately that's boxing. It's a hurt sport. But I do think he'll take a break, he'll come back, and I think if he does reset and reboot and go down to 105, I think he can be world champion again.
All right, let's cross over to Lara Togliatti as well. Another guy that's on the cusp of a world title, a big one, WBC. He unfortunately also had his fight pulled due to COVID. What's his plans for this year? Well,
there's talk of a WBC silver belt defense, which we're going to navigate. I think he's on the brink of either entering an eliminator. I see now Vargas is going to be mandated to fight Russell Jr. I'm hoping Russell Jr. wins that fight and then he moves up and the title becomes vacant. That leaves a lot of opportunity for us in that position. So that's kind of the plan for now. I want to see the result of that fight because I know it's the WBC recently mandated. I think it was on the weekend. So I just want to see how that plays out, and then obviously, get a fight and then potentially move into either eliminator or fight for the vacant world championship.
I mean, there's obviously going to be news. I mean, what are you going to do with all these new boxers that have arrived in the gym? There's obviously been a lot of arrivals. I mean, what's the plans to give them fights?
Yeah, exactly. So it goes back to that cryptic message you were asking me about. So that's obviously one of the factors and plans that we're working towards. There are also one or two other promoters that I've been in touch with, one or two very close to home, as you know, that we're going to be working with for those young kids. And that's obviously also another focal point of what I need to concentrate on this year.
So this year, I mean, do you foresee it being a good year for boxing?
Well, I can't predict. It's like when you ask me, is my guy going to win on a knockout? I predict a win. So you've got to stay positive. I just want the crowds back. We miss the crowds. We've been to shows and we've seen shows with no crowds. Of course, the main topic at the moment is the vaccine. Some are going to take it, some aren't going to take it. When's it going to roll out? How's it going to affect boxing? And how's it going to affect the spectators coming to sport? Are they going to open it up and allow? That's the question we're all asking at the moment. And how safe is the vaccine? So, I mean, if it's going to save my life, I'm going to take it. But there's just so many questions we need to go through the system and go through the months. But it has to be a better year than last year. I mean, I can't see it being anywhere close to last year. So, yeah, I'm pretty amped about 2021. I hope it's just going to be a very fruitful year for boxing, and particularly for the fighters.
Oh, and I need to talk about this as well with female boxing. Head of Wilmarans as well. She also missed out on some opportunities, as well as so many others did because of COVID. Is there a plan for her this year?
Yeah, she needs to get back in as well. She needs to get back in and fight. She signed with MTK last year, and obviously nothing was going on. I think there were one or two female bouts that were done behind closed doors. So I need to get her back in, and that's obviously going to be as well on the agenda to get her back in the ring. And then if you take a look at particularly Europe boxing, there's a lot of female signings from around the world with Matchroom, and that's something that I want to potentially look into. I'd like to get her active here first, and then potentially do something abroad.
All right, so is there anything I haven't spoken about?
No, just how was your training in December?
Yeah, lack thereof. I always come in strong for the new year, so got a whole training camp ahead.
Yeah, and you look in good shape, and you're a good eye.
I thought you were about to say round is the shape.
Round is the shape, but yeah. And listen, I want to say a big shout out to you for last year. You guys did amazing work. Kept the South African boxing public entertained. I think you need to take a bow and just keep following what we're doing. I'm looking very forward to this year. Last year I was looking forward to it, and then it just screwed up. But please God, this year will be a very promising year for boxing in South Africa.